I crouched behind the rusted remains of what used to be the city's square fountain, my heart pounding louder than the din of the chaos surrounding me. I would lost count of how many days had passed since the Bellingty first descended on Earth. But in that moment, wedged between warped metal and shattered tiles, time felt futile, a trickster that twisted hope into despair. The alien mothership loomed over the skyline, a giant black obelisk that siphoned the light from the sun, casting everything beneath it into a pall of unsettling gray. Shadows danced unnaturally as the crafts buzzed overhead like disturbed hornets, each one reminding me of what was at stake. It wasn't just my life anymore, nor even the life of the people here who had come to rely on my abilities. This was about something much larger, something that could change the very fabric of our existence. I clenched my jaw, lip raw from biting down too hard in thought. Should we fight, negotiate, or, my mind recoiled at the thought, submit? The voices of my fellow rebels echoed in my ears, all doubting the plan I had staked my last shreds of credibility on. I wasn't a soldier, wasn't trained for this kind of war, but when the Bellingty first landed, they didn't just take our land, they took our dignity. I needed to take it back. Rena, the familiar voice cut through the cacophony, slicing through my hesitation like a knife. My younger brother Temujin stood silhouetted against the dimming light, panic making his face stark. "We can't stay here. They've started searching." His words sent a chill spiraling down my spine. I had promised myself I wouldn't let him get caught up in this mess, but here we were, together in a shattered city, collapsing under the weight of extraterrestrial command. As the leader of our small rebel cell, the Renegades, I felt responsible for every person who had put their faith in me. Even if I didn't know what I was doing most of the time, but I'd make choices to protect him. I would. "Temujin, I need you to listen to me," I hurriedly whispered. "We can't head back to the safe house. They've set traps for anyone escaping the perimeter. But we can't just stay here, Rena. They'll find us. What will we do?" His dark eyes shimmered with fear, and I felt my heart clench painfully in my chest. "Trust me." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Hope amidst havoc. I have a plan. I just need a little more time. There's something the Renegades have that the Bellingty want, and if we can exploit that, what if they don't want it?" He interrupted, barely keeping his voice down, and my patience frayed. Sometimes I wished he could just see the world through the hardened lens I wore. Sometimes I wasn't sure if it would make him stronger. Then we'll make them. I stood, forcing a wave of determination down my throat, glancing around. Each alley bore the scars of our resistance, a charred building here, a barricade there, sigils of our struggle, but we need to reach the East Sector transmission tower first. If we can intercept their signals, Rena. He tried to stifle the fear in his voice. We shouldn't be thinking that way. What if they don't just take back our land? What if they take us? His words hung between us like a festering wound. I glanced at the brothers and sisters in arms I led, faces worn thin by grief and fear, waiting for direction. "Then it's time we find our own answer," I said, plunging straight into the fire of uncertainty. "The Bellingty might think they're invincible, but what they don't understand is that humanity has an infinite capacity to rise." With that, I took a step back and led Temujin through the broken streets. Every corner an ambush of emotion, the familiar bitterness over lost youth, raging anger at invaders who didn't understand what they had torn apart, the rising current of rebellion thrumming through me. The world shimmered with possibilities. It clunked heavily against threads of an old truth, whispering between the cracks in the sidewalk. Our fight sparked long before, with every resounding heartbeat. As we navigated through the rubble, I couldn't shake the feeling that today held secrets far deeper than our struggle. The air crackled, charged with something otherworldly, something that felt different, something beyond the fallen towers and the omnipresent dread. My instincts flared, but I couldn't pinpoint why. A sound reverberated, a guttural thrum that cut through the clamor of our city. For a moment, silence swept over us. All heads turned toward the mothership as its command vessels circled down closer. Even the distant rebel scuffles fell mute, astonishment gnashing its teeth against fear. The world held its breath. With wide eyes, Temujin pulled at my arm. "Rena," fear punched through the wonder in his tone. "What are they doing?" Before I could reply, the troops emerged grace. Kin giants with glowing visors and long limbs. They moved with a smoothness that felt eerily choreographed and unnatural, shards of expectation and turmoil thrumming in the pit of my stomach. I shifted my gaze back upward, scanning the colossal craft as it began to pivot towards us, its massive door sliding open, revealing a smoky interior illuminated by blue phosphorescence. I squinted against the light, heart racing. As a figure stepped into the threshold, an overwhelming sense of dread coursed through me, tangling with something else, the tiniest flicker of hope. And then it happened. They lowered their heads, a movement so civil and foreign that everything in me froze. For a heartbeat, nothing else existed amid the dust and despair. The aliens, those who had come to dominate us, were bowing. In their gesture, something profound shattered in my mind, an incredible implosion of disbelief fueled by raw potential. What did this mean? What could it mean? Was this our link to freedom, a concession from the Bellingta, or another manipulation? I caught Temujin's wide eyes, the same mix of astonishment mirrored in my own. And in that moment, the tension between duty and uncertainty tangled tighter than before. Today, the day they bowed to us, was only the beginning of something unfathomable. I could feel the weight of impending truths vibrating through my bones. It was my job to decide what that meant for humanity. As I stood frozen, absorbing the surreal scene unfolding in front of me, a sense of impossibility layered over the dread. The grace-skinned figures remained still, their elongated silhouettes illuminated against the stark light of their craft. A murmur spread like wildfire through the scattered remnants of our people hidden in the debris-laden streets. Snippets of hushed talk filled the air, words swept up in disbelief. "What are they playing at?" someone whispered, while others exchanged cautious glances, a swell of confusion and speculation trembling on the rough edges of fear. Temujin tensed beside me, waiting with bated breath for what might happen next. I put my hand on his shoulder, a silent promise of protection amidst the encroaching unknown. I had led us into this chaos, and I had to navigate us through it. "Stay low," I commanded softly, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "We can't risk being spotted. Whatever this is, we need to understand it before we react." I ventured a couple of inches closer, my body coiled with instinct. I still could not shake the nagging question that clawed its way to the forefront of my mind. Why would they bow? They had no reason to respect us. We, the oppressed drones of a war-torn city, were hardly worth a serene gesture in the face of their superiority. Urgency pumped through me. I encouraged the muted curiosity swelling in my heart. I gestured for our small band of rebels. More and more alarmed glances were exchanged, but when I pointed toward the perimeter where I spotted a staircase leading directly to the nearest crater, we collectively approached the hidden exit for safety. We ducked into the remnants of a collapsed garage. The air felt stale, thick with panic and dust. The hidden entrance shielded us, but gave me little solace. How could we allow ourselves to be entangled in this mystery? Beyond the wall, the Bellingter remained poised and vigilant, but in their silence loomed an unexpected disarray. One of them pointed toward the lower section of the craft, speaking in guttural sounds I couldn't decipher. Part of me itched to eavesdrop on their conversation, even if it was only a throat-clearing grunt. Meanwhile, Temujin leaned closer, capturing my attention with the glimmer in his eye. "Do you think they could be here to negotiate, Rena?" He mused, a hopeful tremor in his voice that nearly foiled my resolve. "No." I shook my head, unwilling to accept easy answers. Their kind doesn't negotiate, they conquer. But my words echoed hollow against the wall of uncertainty that shadowed us, a shroud too convoluted to dismiss. Suddenly, another alien figure drifted forth, pulling a long, translucent object resembling a spear from behind its back. The instrument shimmered under the dim light, revealing flashes of color like a broken prism grouped within a crystalline shell. My heart raced at the prospect of a weapon, but the Bellingty handled it reverently. "What are they doing?" Temujin's voice trembled, betraying the grip of fear that held him. Could it be an offering? Someone in our group suggested tentatively, drawing incredulous stares. Maybe they want to parley. Before I could respond, the alien raised the object, holding it high above its head, and the other belling to echoed its posture, forming ranks behind the first as their movements synchronized. They're offering a truce, Temujin whispered, voice tight with belief, but I didn't buy it. Pragmatism had long been my lifeblood, trained sharp in this war, and now more than ever, it urged me to stay wary. I couldn't afford to let that naive spark flicker in my heart, not when our survival rested on fragile decisions. Then, as if an urge possessed me, I stepped out into the open outside the garage with a brisk resolve, breaking the invisible tether gripping us in fear. "Rena, wait," Temujin called, unable to mask his panic. I turned, puncturing the stillness with the buoying assertion. "I need to understand this. If they want to talk, we at least need to hear them out." "Rena, it's my call," I stated, voice cutting through his worry, the air compressed with urgency. The words hung heavy as I crossed the street, heading toward the assembly gathering in silence. Temujin's footsteps chased behind me, but I knew he couldn't stop me. The Bellingta stilled, their visors glinting unnervingly as I approached. The greater mass of figures froze with expectation, their eyes, I wondered if they had any, seemed to track my every movement. I gestured for a truce with one hand, the instinctive need to bridge this newfound tension throbbing in my chest. "What do you want?" I demanded, my voice steady as I tried to mask the tremor underlying my resolve. "Why have you come?" The previously motionless alien stepped forward. Its features strained under those faceless visors, and for a moment, time seemed to collapse between us, worlds colliding in a rush of uncertainty, determination, and undeniable fear. And then, just like that, it lowered its weapon, resting it gracefully against the ground. A moment stretched, and in that silence, something unimaginable crackled in the air. The leading figure spoke, or rather, it clicked toward me, releasing vibrations that pulsed through the ground like waves. The noise twinkled nervously in my eardrums, receding just before it had fully formed. A flicker of understanding washed over me, though faint. "We seek return," it articulated, a chorus echoing back from behind the others. "Return?" I echoed, confusion gnawing at me. "To where?" "You're on our land." The leading alien continued, almost pleading. "Return to balance." Words buzzed through me like sorrowful whispers. "Planet our home," my brow knit, my mind straining against the weight of empathy that pressed down on me. Memories of our forsaken conversations returned, hushed whispers of a conflict forgotten long before their arrival. Behind me, my comrades shifted, uncertainty clouding their eyes. Temujin hovered close, skepticism wrapped tightly around him as he stared back and forth between me and our new, seemingly pacified adversaries. Was it possible? Could we actually be on the brink of something different after all? But what does that balance mean for us? I pressed, my voice roiling with the questions I had come to grapple with. How can we trust you to end this war? Mutual survival integration. Dimensional essence must be preserved. The alien gestured toward its fellow Bellingta, a ripple of earnestness thrumming in every sound it offered. We must safeguard all. A moment flickered in my heart, a fleeting memory of a world that existed before everything turned to chaos. A world where humanity fought for each other instead of against one another. Maybe were you here before? I stumbled across the words. Were you once like us? They were questions weighing heavy. Each word seemed to shift the balance of power irrevocably. The truth lay suspended between us. A home to us always, harvested existence taken. A pain whispered through the vibrations of their talk, echoing through formless space. Now returned key to balance. Hope flickered in my mind, warring against disbelief. "You're saying we can help each other," the revelation rippled around me. "But what's the price? We've seen your kind's power. What do you demand in return?" The alien lowered its weapon fully to the ground, shedding the tension between us. Not what is taken, but what is shared. The hesitation in my heart flourished into the light of possibility that glimmered amid our war-avaged lot. "What do you mean?" I breathed as I stepped closer still. the air heavy with the sudden weight of this new truth. The lines of war blurring at the edges, a choice rising before us. A journey together, embrace the humility symbolized. A glimmer of resolve flashed in its odd dark visage, seeming to envelop my senses in something altogether different. Find the key. In that moment, clarity broke over me, as sharp as the edge between war and peace. What the aliens offered was not just a chance at survival, but a shift in consciousness, a new pathway carved through centuries of conflict. And in that promise lay the glimmer of resistant hope. "Rena," Temujin exclaimed from behind me, stepping back into the shadows of disbelief and protection. "You can't trust them." "I have to." I turned back to the Bellingta, the sound of urgency piercing through my mind like a bolt of lightning, then fixing my focus on the thrumming mass before me. "Tell me where to find it, your key." Together, we scribed the rebirth, it intoned, smooth and melancholy as the world tingled with anticipation. In that moment I knew. I needed to lean in toward this unexpected allyship, even while the weight of my brother's fear for my safety clung to me. A parallel of trust began shaping a new arc for our story, a courtship of challenges binding us against an uncertain fate. Unknown to us, fate had other plans. As I stepped back, intent on regrouping with the rebels and fortifying our fragile alliance, I noticed the shadows lengthening behind the Bellingta. There, creeping through the smoke and haze, from the depths of the shadows emerged the drift of darkened figures' faces I knew too well. The Alliance, a paramilitary faction created to contain the Belling, to threat, was fast approaching, their intentions cloaked in hostility and urgent resolve. With explosions of chaos bursting forth around us, morality hung in the balance. Compelled by the urgency of self-preservation, I gasped as they drew closer distant, shrill cries echoing like thunder through the night. "Rena," Temujin reached for my arm, thick fear coiling tight around mine. "We have to go now," but my heart trembled as I fought against the mounting dread swirling within me. Because as I faced those advancing antagonists, an understanding dawned. I could not just abandon this newfound path, forces colliding in a turning tide of destiny. For every clash between us held a new truth waiting to be unveiled, a battle burgeoning within. We need to protect ourselves. All of us, I declared with fierce determination, every ounce of conviction rising in my throat like smoke. They can't be allowed to sever this chance. And with that, adrenaline surged, the clash of fate ringing loud in my spirit as I stood before the path unfurling before us, hands ready to embrace the unknown realities looming ahead. Whatever lay ahead, I would fight for it. This strange bond, an alliance forged in desperation, could still be the key to rebirth. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation, a tempest of emotions snaking through our every breath as the alliance drew closer. They were no longer just a specter of power looming in the shadows. They had now become the direct threat, the embodiment of all our fears. As the metallic clinks of their boots reverberated in tandem with the heartbeat beneath my ribcage, I stepped forward, adrenaline pulsing in my veins like a battle drum. "Temujin, I need you to trust me," I told my brother, my voice steady even as the ground beneath our feet swayed with the weight of uncertainty. "We can't let them take this opportunity from us. The Bellingta may be our last chance to share in survival." Ignoring the rising tide of unease blossoming within me, I faced the advancing Alliance soldiers and raised my hands, palms outward to signify surrender, and I needed to hide my fear from Temujin. Trying to present myself as a broker of peace, I found myself wishing I had an army behind me instead of alien beings, still undefined and unfamiliar to our kind. The lead soldier, a woman clad in dark form, fitting tactical gear with a fierce glint in her eyes, halted, her brows knitted with skepticism. "Rena Aaron, you've been mocked a traitor for attempting to negotiate with our enemies," she barked, her voice cold and authoritative, sending a sharp jolt of anxiety through me. "How long until you divulge all our secrets to those creatures? They're not just enemies," I shouted back, desperation fueling my conviction. We're looking for a way to end this madness altogether. We are risking everything for a chance to share our world and help them return to their own." I pointed to the Bellingta, silence sweeping through the rebels at my back as they assessed the strange, alien soldiers who loomed behind me like a hidden ocean ready to break forth. "Bellingta," the woman's voice faltered slightly, disbelief coloring her features. "This isn't a joke, is it? You think they'll share their power with us? You're a fool if you believe that." In that pivotal moment, I felt the reliance on my loyalty to humanity swirl in conflict with the unsettling prospects that brushed against my growing curiosity. What could happen if we shattered the current paradigm? Surely, a life tethered to such choices was fraught with perilous uncertainties but suffused with essential hope. Shouldn't we at least hear them out? I challenged, pushing against the tension rippling through the air. "We've all lost too much already. This cannot be the end." The woman narrowed her eyes, her expression shifting from hostility to simmering contemplation. Behind her, her fellow Alliance soldiers shifted uneasily, whispering darker threads into the possibility of reconciliation. "Make your case, then," she conceded reluctantly. "But know this: should you fail, your lives will be forfeit. The Alliance has no patience left for your traitorous games." I tore my gaze from her, allowing the collective breaths of my comrades to circle around me. The Bellingter remained passive, inexplicably calm amidst the brewing chaos. It was as if they understood the fragile dance taking place, humanity's instinctive struggle between preservation and annihilation, the gnawing uncertainty of trust, culminating in this single point. "Speak," I urged to the alien before me. "Tell them the truth." The lead Bellingta stepped forward, its figure towering over us still, yet its posture exuded a peculiar calmness, a knowing that seemed to resonate through the tumult. "Our arrival has disrupted the equilibrium of existence. Our kind causes imbalance in your world while seeking to return to our home. But how?" The Alliance leader pressed, and I sensed the gaze of my allies sharpen with equal parts intrigue and doubt. "What do you want in exchange? You've shown nothing but strife." "We desire coalescence," the Bellingta continued, its voice imbued with a mix of solace and gravity. "In exchange for passage and sanctuary on Earth, we offer knowledge, a key to your people's advancement, a shared experience of coexistence." And then, a detail I had overlooked plunged into the forefront of my collapsing thoughts. "What kind of knowledge?" I questioned, squeezing clarity from the unfolding crisis as hope forced its way into my mind. "A next stage of evolution," it pronounced, reverberations pulsating through the air around us. "Weapons that thrive on energy depths, reconciliation of land and atmosphere, and a means to protect against your window of extinction." Extinction? The Alliance leader's skepticism faded, a flicker of vulnerability creeping into her posture. "You're saying we're that close?" The Bellingta nodded, the air thickening as we bore witness to the mounting revelations. "Your own divisiveness has led toward folly. The Earth begs for healing as her heartbeat falters. Join with us or perish alone." The message weighed heavy in the air, teetering at the edge of desperation. "Your proposition reeks of trickery," the young soldier spat back, eyes narrowed dangerously, and the tension recoiled like a bowstring drawn taut. "We cannot trust you as long as your motives remain nebulous. But look around you." I felt fire inside as I stepped between the Alliance and the aliens. The darkness spreads. We must confront it together. This is a pivotal moment. If we cannot trust our salvation together, how can we expect to embody it? Silence enveloped us, hovering like the heavy air before a violent storm. Allies and adversaries exchanged glances, breath held tight in a newfound understanding that no one could yet grasp. "Rena," Temujin's soft voice broke through the stillness like a bell tolling deep within my heart. "If you truly want to put your faith in them, what are we going to do about the Alliance? They may just have a point," the lead soldier murmured, eyes shimmering as she weighed possibilities. "This could open paths we hadn't anticipated, but trust is a fragile thing." Her gaze bore into mine, assessing my resolve. "You want this truce, prove it." "I will," I promised, a daring charge igniting my spirit at the weight of uncertainty ahead. "I will seek to bridge the understanding between all of us, no matter the price. Give us a chance to forge something greater." The lead soldier nodded slowly, contemplating alliances not yet formed, not yet hardened by distrust. "And if our fates become entwined, I'd wager they will," I replied with certainty, brimming with a surge of adrenaline. The words fell into place with an uncanny balance. "We note our losses in honor of future gains. Your sacrifice floats in the layers of this fight, like ours. Join us, or be lost in this war-torn time." As silence enveloped us once more, the Bellington stood solemnly behind me, the haunting weight of what lay ahead suspended dangerously in the space where redemption hovered. Voices murmured among the Alliance ranks as stark apprehension began to thaw, forging connections from losses we had yet to understand fully. Just then, the earth rumbled beneath our feet, shattering the stillness like a shroud breaking apart at dawn. A violent crack reverberated from above, darkening the sky, and in awe, we watched as the mothership shifted, lights flickering ominously. The Alliance leader took a step back, a new dread creeping into her gaze. "What is happening?" Before anyone could fully process, a colossal shadow loomed as another ship appeared through the haze. It was larger, more menacing. Its approach a harbinger of doom, and that's when I realized. Their arrival wasn't peaceful, and our bargaining was already under threat. The new entity bristled with the promise of devastation. This was never intended to be our last chance. Instead, it was the condensed conflict of a cosmic struggle unraveling before us. As the ground trembled with the weight of the imminent unknown, I locked eyes with Temujin, shared dread reflecting back at me in his gaze. "We need to work together," I whispered urgently. The Bellington's validation of unity, their desire to harmonize with our struggle, loomed larger than the threat emerging above us. The air crackled with urgency, chaos erupting into the still air as our alliance was solidified in an instant pull between loyalty and newfound hope. Suddenly, decisions rushed forward, a wave of resolution coursing through our ranks. "We fight together," I shouted to those around me, humanity's ties to one another igniting with urgency. "We will not be dictated by the hands of others, not again." The earth shook anew, but this time I felt the determination of my allies rise like fire behind me. We would stand our ground here now, amidst the sanctuary of light and shadow that intertwined our fates. The Bellington reorganized, deftly spreading out among the Alliance soldiers, their bodies elegantly flowing into a formation we had never known. It breathed life into an unexpected unity, trust cascading in unwritten threads binding our stories together. Together, we were a wildfire, a powerful force rooted within our losses and struggles, bound by the conviction of survival. We braced as an impending storm swirled together over our reckoning, an untested alliance poised against an unrelenting enemy, with truths yet to unfurl. As the colossal ship gorged upon the darkness, we rose to meet our fate, not as warriors of old, but as weavers of the future. An intricate tapestry formed within a cosmic confluence of possibility, rewriting the very nature of existence itself. With a collective breath, we stepped forward, surrendering nevermore. Together, we would cast aside the past and seek new paths through the chaos around us, for in truth, as in all things, the brightest light often emerges from the darkest corners. And so we readied ourselves as one, voices uniting in defiance against the ascendant shadows above, aiming toward a future carved from the rubble of our past, a promise anew flickering deep within our hearts. The air was electric as I stood shoulder to shoulder with my newfound allies, the Alliance soldiers and the Bellington, ready to confront the formidable threat spiraling toward us from the looming ship above. The vastness of the sky was filled with the ominous silhouette of the craft, each pulse of light flickering from its exterior, echoing the heartbeat of danger closing in on us. The tension thrummed through the air, metamorphosing our trepidation into resolve. "Ready yourself," the lead soldier shouted, her voice firm and commanding, electrifying our gathered forces into collective action. We all understood that this moment wasn't just about survival. It was about affirming the fragile alliances we had forged. It was a testament to humanity's unwillingness to submit to despair, a unity born of necessity against a common foe. I felt Temujin's fingers wrapped tightly around my arm, the warmth of his connection tethering me to hope even amidst the swirling chaos. "We have to stay together, Rena. Whatever happens, don't leave my side," he urged, his wide eyes reflecting both fear and determination. "I won't," I promised, squeezing his hand lightly before we both turned our gaze back to the Bellingta, waiting with an elegant composure that contrasted sharply with the frenetic energy pulsating among the Alliance forces. They had transformed since our first encounters, no longer looming as distant predatory beings. They were comrades, entwined with us in this struggle to reclaim our world. As the larger ship continued to descend, great clips of unknown energy crackled from its exterior, bathing the area in an eerie luminescence that cast long shadows over our rebel alliance. The Bellingta shifted, seamlessly blending their forms into a mesmerizing dance, a modification of fluid grace that expressed solidarity amidst the building uncertainty. Their luminous figures expanded and contracted rhythmically, resonating with an energy that interwove with the frantic heartbeat of our situation. Suddenly, from the belly of the approaching craft, a burst of shadows emerged, figures not unlike the Belling, but darker, more insidious, their forms shifting in and out of focus, as if they were weaving between dimensions. My breath caught in my throat as I recognized what was rushing toward us. The Anahar, forces of the Bellingta's past, seeking vengeance for perceived betrayal all the way back to their homeworld. "Get ready, incoming," the Alliance leader shouted, drawing a weapon, the metal glinting under the dim light. My heart raced as I moved instinctually into position alongside my brother, allowing our bodies to align with those of our allies. "What do we do?" Temujin asked, frightened yet resolute. "We fight for our truth. We protect our chance at a new future," I seethed, grasping my weapon tightly, drawn to the primal instinct that surged within my veins. With each rhythmic pulse of my heart, determination churned inside me, swelling with the collective energy of those standing with me. The Anahar descended with formidable speed, racing toward us with blinding energy beams cascading from their forms that illuminated the chaotic battleground. I raised my weapon, adrenaline coursing through me in waves. It felt surreal, knowing that we were standing on a precipice where belief and action intermingled. "A defensive formation," the lead soldier bellowed, her voice sharpening the air as she positioned herself at the front line, flanked by her troops and some of the bravest Belling, seemingly unwilling to become mere spectators of this clash. A fierce engagement erupted in a whirlwind of sound and light. Explosions echoed as we began to receive the onslaught with fervor, both human and alien warriors wielding power we had yet to fathom. The battle crashed through the still air like a cacophony of thunder, rattling our focus evenly into the maelstrom of chaos. The Bellingta warriors unleashed brilliant waves of energy from their arms, darting elegantly among the unfolding battle lines, each movement effortless and fluid as beams of light connected with the dark forces of the Anahar. I could feel the weight of our histories colliding, the ancestors of both sides resting for control in the flash of energy that rippled wildly about us. "Brace yourselves," I cried to my comrades, gauging the tumbling landscape around me, struggling to find a rhythm inside the chaos. Another surge crashed forward, sending debris scattering in every direction as I felt my heart racing, rhythm punctuated by the shifting flow of fight. I ducked and rolled, a rush of warmth flooding through me as Temujin stayed close at my side, mirroring my movements as we evaded an oncoming attack together. It felt as if my brain was firing on all cylinders, wits honed, calculations made instantaneously, a dance of survival. In the midst of it all, I suddenly caught sight of a flicker of movement on my periphery. One of the Bellingta slipped past me, engaging directly with the Anahar leader, a figure clad in shades darker than the void. Their battle seemed one of not only strength but of intent, of redemption and reclamation for what had been taken. Arcs of energy crackled as our lines crossed, the push, pull of existence oscillating between despair and hope. Shatter the hierarchy, the lead Bellingter roared, rising against the tide. Reveal the truth. I hesitated but left behind any potential fear, caught rather by the rising flame of conviction igniting my spirit. The truth embraces us now. We stand united. I echoed back, a cry that resonated among the chaotic energy surrounding us, galvanizing my fellow fighters into a share of that now scrupulous hope. As the battles surged and receded, I sensed our spirits intertwining, boldly fighting together, hand in hand, breath interwoven with belief. We embraced the moment. Each fracture of reality that tinged our beings felt closer to the dawn we sought. In the thick of it all, I spotted Temujin, his figure emerging undeterred amongst the chaos. He faced a dark soldier, the leader of the Anahar, intent on inflicting despair and chaos. My heart plummeted, a ripple of urgency driving my veins to the brink as I dashed forward, weaving through the electrifying chaos. Temujin, I called, pushing through bodies, hoping he could hear me over the din, but his focus remained on the fight before him. The Anahar leader lunged toward him, glinting weapon held high to bring him down, aimed for blood. Time slowed, everything in my mind erased in that moment, suspended between fear and promise. I envisioned the world beyond this battle, the tapestry of humanity woven through shared existence. The weight of every sentiment blurred into the urgency of protecting that which we longed to preserve. My soul ignited as I closed the distance. I dove in between them, yanking my brother back to safety just moments before the Anahar leader barely missed. "Arena, be careful," he cried, fear etching into him. But I faced the leader resolutely, weapon drawn, the fight coursing through adrenaline and raw emotion. "You won't take him," I shouted boldly, advancing against the dark figure, channeling the resolve of all who had dared to dream beyond the shades of despair. The Anahar leader snarled, rooted in rage. "You're a fool if you believe you can save him. This conflict is beyond you." In that moment, a surge of power radiated from the belling to behind me, charging the space, their energy intertwining with mine, a reflective whirlpool of untamed hope scintillating. We were more than individual players in this game of existence. We brimmed with the confidence of unity. Together, I managed to roar, and with a swift movement, I shifted alongside the belling, to warrior at my side, launching a coordinated attack that ignited the shadows into brilliant clashes of resistance. The ground trembled beneath our feet. We fought with everything we had gathered, a symphony of strength and conviction against the forces of despair blaring. Even amid flickering edges of chaos, the outcome began solidifying in favor of our shared resolve, the tides shifting within the tempest of battle. Time melted as the chaos enveloped me. Explosive forces raged around us, spiraling shadows against hopeful light. Each fleeting second a flicker of existence that felt more fragile than ever before. "Rena, let's create our own destiny," Temujin urged, stepping alongside me, weapons ready and bright. Together, I echoed back, allowing our spirits to bind as brothers and sisters, families forged anew in this harrowing present. With synchronized movements, we stepped into the eye of the storm that was our fight, channeling the energies that coursed through us. The fate pulsed anew within our veins, blossoming from within the darkness of our past, turning our gaze toward what remained for us, a yearning to survive, to thrive, alongside those who had once appeared as foes. The fusion of our forces birthed a new sound, a hum of resonance that trailed into existence, the ebb and flow swirling with essence far greater than just a battle. It was history unfolding in real time, the pulsating of a world on the precipice of transformation. With the storm shifting above us, a new truth was dawning. As the tide surged forward, we resolved to fight not just for ourselves, but for each other, for the chance of coexistence, for the births of a future unstained by division. In this new light, every particle of our existence resonated with the belief that even from our darkest corners, we had the potential to blaze anew, forging paths through the veil of uncertainty, together into the embrace of hope. And down below, where shadows stretched long, a flicker of brightness emerged. an alchemy of potential woven through the fabric of our resilience, daring to reshape failure and despair into the uncharted territories that awaited our arrival. Together, we would write the story of our own survival, a conquest leading us toward unity, a merging of worlds and hearts, tracing the shining threads of destiny unfolding before us. The chaotic symphony of battle rang around me like the thunder of 1,000 storms. The energy of the Bellingter resonated in waves, intertwining with the defiance embedded in the hearts of my comrades. The once muted cry for survival transformed into a sustained roar, reverberating with shared purpose. Asterisk, asterisk, this was our moment. Asterisk, asterisk, as the Anahar forces clashed against the formation of the Alliance and Bellingta, each explosion of light painted the sky, a canvas torn between the shadows of our past mistakes and the shimmering hints of hope threading through the chaos. I felt the adrenaline surging in my veins, my focus sharpening as I fought against the wave of darkness threatening to engulf us all. Move forward together, the lead Bellingta bellowed, its silhouette cutting through the chaos, shimmering with energy. With every step, I could feel the balance of our united front fortifying. This was not merely a clash of soldiers or technology. It was a clash of ideologies, a battle of existence fighting to reclaim its rightful place. "Arena," Temujin called, urgency dancing in his voice as he maneuvered through the debris. I ensured my brother stayed close, our bodies moving in sync as we fended off the encroaching Anahar forces together. "We need to preserve the formation." I nodded, a fierce smile breaking through the tension unraveling inside me. "Keep pushing. We're not just facing them. We're facing our own past. We must break the chains that have held us captive for too long." My words ignited a shared fervor that rippled through our ranks, strengthening the bonds we had formed. The energy blazed around us, illuminating the truth. Our fight was more than survival. It was about reclaiming our shared narrative from the hands of those who sought to divide us. Each strike against the Anahar felt like a stitch in the tapestry of our necessary unity, every burst of energy reinforcing the truth that war would never be our path. As the conflict raged, I caught a fleeting glimpse of the Anahar leader, a figure draped in shadows, radiating with unyielding anger. It had become a focal point of ire. I pushed past two of our allies, my sights locked on that dark silhouette, my heart thrumming rhythmically in the depths of combat. The time had come to confront not only the Anahar, but also the conflict simmering within myself. "Temujin," I shouted, charging toward my target, words flowing from me like fire. "We have to make the Anahar leader understand. This fight won't stop until we face the root of the conflict." Temujin grabbed my arm, pulling me back briefly. "It's too dangerous, Rena. You can't rush in alone." "I'm not rushing in alone," I insisted, determination fueling our every word. "This is our chance to confront the fear they embody together." With the pulse of our alliance lending strength, I broke free and charged forward, rushing to the forefront of the battlefield while the Anahar leader prepared to strike against our lines. My breath quickened as I darted between flashes of energy and explosions, weaving my way through chaos. The lines around the leader shook under the force of our united fronts, each burst lighting the path toward resolution. "Your fight is futile," the Anahar leader bellowed as I closed the distance, voice slicing through the din as I prepared myself to confront whatever emerged from the shadows. "You cannot hope to change our history. Your existence condemns you to the same cycle of despair." I felt surges of anger rise within me, mingling with an overwhelming compassion for what the Anahar represented, a collective pain that had traveled generations deep. "You don't have to suffer this way," I retorted, heart pounding. "This doesn't have to be your fate. Look at what we've built together." The Anahar leader's face contorted with disdain, swirls of darkness enveloping it as if shielding its heart from the light. "Your bonds mean nothing against the inevitability of power and destruction. We were once kin, and you condemned us for the bloodshed over our lost mother. There is nothing left but wrath." I surged forward, dropping my weapon to the ground as I lifted my hands in a gesture of peace. "We all deserve a chance at redemption. Can't you see that in our fight for survival, we have the opportunity to rewrite our future? My words reverberated across the battlefield, stilled echoes filled with unyielding hope. In that moment I saw a flicker of something, a hesitation within the Anahar leader's flow of shadows. I pressed on, wanting to reach across the vast chasm between us. Our mistakes brought us here, but our survival can ignite a new path. We can uphold the truths we share, not through bloodshed but through understanding. Irina, Temujin called, but I waved him off, intent on forging ahead. I wouldn't let fear dictate our choices any longer. The Anahar hesitated, shadows swirling around it but flickering with uncertainty. I could sense we were on the precipice of something massive. My heart pounded loudly against my ribs, echoing like war drums resonating in the soil beneath our feet. Enough. The leader's voice thundered, steel hidden beneath layers of vulnerability. You preach about unity but know nothing of the pain our kind has endured. You cannot cage the darkness we are trapped within. Suddenly, the Bellingtas surged forward, their bodies forming a protective wall around us. Each movement a testament to the unity that had begun to blossom. We have walked the path of despair. We understand your pain, one of them declared, stepping beside me, its gaze anchored in the Anahar leader's despair. I raised my gaze toward it, feeling their warmth infusing our shared resolve. That's right, I added fervently. We've all lost something to this war. What if we fought together instead? Hopeful energy pulsed through the battlefield, weaving inexorably as more Bellingta and Alliance forces joined our ranks. The palpable tension wavered, crackling in the air like static before rain. Together, we formed a collective pulse of conviction. The Anahar leader reeled back as if struck, the shadows around it flickering uneasily. And what if we fail? What if you betray this moment? The entire arena held its breath, caught in uncertainty. This was the moment, a chance for clarity amidst the chaos. My voice rang out, strong and unwavering. I promise we will not fail. We fight for our survival, for each other, for the chance at healing, not harm. Together, we can rewrite our fates. And with those words, something within the Anahar leader shifted, the darkness around it quaking. There was understanding in its hesitation. It was not merely a symbol of hatred or revenge. It harbored wounds deeper than any could imagine, shadowed truths ensnared in fear. The battlefield fell silent around us, caught between two worlds. A clash of past grievances and embers of hope ignited by the present. Rallying cries echoed, drawing energy from the promise of unity against a common foe, forging stories yet untold. In that charged moment I stepped forward again. Will you stand with us? Together we can emerge from this darkness. You don't have to fight this battle alone. Tension hung thick in the air, frozen time amplifying every heartbeat drumming around us. The Anahar leader's shadows began to stretch, trembling as it wavered, the very essence of war and peace intertwined in a vast struggle for existence. In that hesitating heartbeat, the fabric of fate rippled, a spectrum alive with possibility stretching wider across the horizon as dawn threatened to break. The Anahar leader absorbed the energy around itself, caught between the shadows and the light. The reality of our combined strength flooded the air as icy fears slowly thawed in its heart. Slowly, the darkness around the leader receded, revealing glimmers of its true form, unity, healing. The leader finally spoke, words emerging as if a hidden storm had subsided. But trust was broken. The path forward seems uncertain. Can you fight alongside us? Yes. My voice rang out, infused with conviction, strengthened by the flickering glimmers of a future we could build together. We share this land, this existence, and it is ours to embrace or destroy. Stand with us, we can reclaim our stories. As the dawn began to emerge, the lines of conflict faded, uncertainty blossoming into new potential. Our forces, a union of past enemies and newfound allies, faced the tumult ahead. The Anahar leader stepped forward, shadows flickering like fading embers behind it. Strength surged through our lines as we took our position, and together we faced the masses. An unbreakable alliance rebirthed from ashes. The air vibrated with energy, threads of hope winding between our souls, binding us ever tighter. This was our moment of possibility, the realization that even amidst the darkest corners of existence, we could choose to rise determinedly together, carving new paths through the tapestry of time. No longer shackled by chains of despair, no longer divided, united, we stepped forward into whatever lay ahead, forging a legacy wrapped in resilience, light, and unyielding hope. Together, we would reclaim our world, our voices melding into a new song destined to guide us toward a horizon waiting to unfold. So with a united front, we plunged into the light of dawn, ready to reflect the diversity of our journey into actions born of love, strength, and forgiveness. Together, we would write a story anew, a promise of brighter tomorrows crafted from darker moments, born of unity, as the echoes of our shared existence pulsed like returning beats of heart against the great unknown. The air was thick with anticipation as the united forces of humanity and the Bellington stood poised at the threshold of the new dawn, their disparate histories melding into something greater, a tapestry woven from unity, resilience, and a shared longing for peace. I stood with my brother Temujin by my side, the weight of our journey evident in our taut expressions as we faced the horizon stretching out before us, untouched by the devastation that had marked our past. The Anahar leader stepped forward, the shadows around it receding as if acknowledging the light we had chosen over darkness. "We will join you," Yit stated, voice resonating with strength and newfound vulnerability, "for the sake of our broken past and for the future we seek to build." A wave of murmurs swept through our ranks, disbelief mingling with budding hope, the realization that this alliance, once thought impossible, was now a reality washing over us. The rebellion we had fought for wouldn't lead to mere survival. It would carve a pathway towards something transformative. And now that we stand united, we must strategize, the lead soldier of the alliance declared, urgency threading through her words as she gathered our collective gaze. Our first challenge will be ensuring the safety of our homeland against any imminent threats, especially the remnants of the Belling, to forces still hostile to our cause. From within the chaos of battle, I felt a heaviness settle in my heart. Fight was far from over. While we had quelled the anger surrounding the Anahar, we knew myriad forces still roamed the heavens above, thirsting for vengeance against our alliance. We should begin by assessing the damage and fortifying our remaining resources, I suggested, looking around at the weary faces of my newfound comrades. If we can re-establish communication with other rebels remaining throughout the sectors, we can strengthen our collective defense. But the Anahar leader nodded, an ember of understanding igniting deeper connections within our ranks. We have knowledge of advanced communication technology that has not yet been utilized on this planet. It will strengthen your connectivity across the remnants of your lands. Let's utilize that knowledge, I urged, sensing the spark of urgency rising. We can create a network that combines our civilization's strengths, melding our resources to ensure that we each bring forth the best of ourselves. As we began to form our strategy, the other Bellington warriors organized themselves, expertly engaging in conversations and distributing their technology among us. I witnessed the ease with which they communicated, their fluid forms contrasting with the rigid behavior once common among humans. In the days that followed, the remnants of our forces converged in the heart of the city, the very same square that had marked its fall just weeks before. I stood tall atop the fountain, now a somber memorial carved from shattered rock and brimming with red flowers reclaimed from the debris, ready to address the united coalition. "People of the earth," I called, my voice echoing through the makeshift crowd gathered below. "We stand at the crossroads of our fate together. We have endured unimaginable challenges, but now we rise in arms against our greatest threat. Together, we will honor the past, but we shall no longer remain shackled to its shadows. We will forge a future bound by empathy, understanding, and resilience." The crowd erupted in fervent agreement, shouts of unity ringing through the air, and I felt the rush of excitement swell around us, an undeniable certainty that this was our shared moment. Temujin stood tall beside me, pride sparking in his eyes as I engaged the crowd, igniting the fires of determination running through hearts once fraught with despair. We are stronger together, and it is through this alliance we shall reclaim our home, I shouted, the fever of courage igniting. But we cannot let our guard down. Once we re-establish communication with our distant allies, we must remain vigilant against the unseen threats linger above. A palpable energy surged among our forces. Hands gripped tightly as our newly forged alliance began to strategize the coming confrontations against the hostile remnants still scattered throughout the cosmos. Plans unfolded, and I felt the familiar rush take hold, redirecting the chaos of fear into a productive purpose. Over the course of several weeks, we set about transforming our city, implementing the belling to technology to erect barriers that repelled offensive energy signatures, fortifying our strategic positions throughout our territory. Yet, it was not without its struggles. A schism rippled through the Anahar opposition brewing between the factions who were committed to the fight for survival and the vocal minority resistant to carved alliances. As it became evident, we needed more than just unity of purpose. We required trust and understanding. I turned to the Anahar leader, approaching it during one of our many discussions. How do we extend the olive branch to those who remain hesitant? I asked carefully, aware of the sensitivities shaping our cause. The shadows in their hearts speak louder than reason. They fear the very actions that must bind us. It replied, its voice like the rustle of leaves in a gentle breeze. True trust requires a commitment to be vulnerable, to share our truth, despite the risk of rejection. I nodded, contemplating its words. We must engage them, hold a forum that allows for transparency. They need the opportunity to voice their concerns, to see we share this fight, and that we can rebuild together. And so we organized the first interspecies forum, gathering an equal array of rebels, humans, Bellingta, and Anahar, creating a space for dialogue in the heart of our rebuilt city. The atmosphere crackled with uncertainty as we gathered, in anticipation, but also trepidation. As each being settled into the makeshift circle, the echoes of mingled voices swirled the air. I felt the weight of their eyes trained upon me, a combination of disbelief, curiosity, and veiled hope. Let this be a place for all our fears and reclaims to mingle, I announced, taking a deep breath. We will not be bound by our choices of the past, but embrace the potential that exists before us. Speak your minds, let us open the door for healing. The murmurs began tentatively. One by one, voices emerged from the shadows, each shaped by fear and longing. The Anahar leader spoke, its voice resonating through the air as it shared its own origins, the struggles of their kind. A tragic tale of survival that echoed within us all. I do not come to beg forgiveness. I come to illuminate the path of compassion, it said steadily. In the darkness, we lost our way, and the fear of annihilation thrived. Today, we step from those shadows, seeking light the way you envisioned. The council continued, voices filled with vulnerability, unearthing a collective struggle shared through generations. This is not just about reclaiming our world, I interjected, emboldened by their courage. This is about embracing one another's stories. Every wound we share binds us tighter, and we must lean on each other as we carve our new existence. As we navigated through the sessions of understanding, I felt something shift beneath me. The tentative bond among us began to thrum, charged with an energy we hadn't recognized before. Shared trauma transformed into strength, words blossoming into empathy across the divide, touching humanity's core with waves of hope. Though some factions within the Anahar remained skeptical, the majority began to see glimpses of collaboration happen around them, sowing curiosity among those who had lived too long confined in isolation. Days turned into weeks, and as our resolve grew stronger, so did the whispers of a larger threat looming in the distance. Rumblings of the remaining warring factions indicated their potential return to seek vengeance, an urgent reminder that our fight was far from over. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting our unified city in shades of golden hue, I gathered my team, both human and alien, seeking counsel on the imminent threat. we convened in one of the central courtyards, the grand vistas of our fortified city stretching out before us. "The tension is rising," the lead soldier stated, her eyes narrowed in determination. "We cannot ignore their movements much longer. They are poised to strike when we least expect it." I felt the rush of urgency spiral around us, drawing me deeper into focus. "We can't fall victim to complacency," I urged. "Our strength now lies in our unity. We must prepare our defenses and stay vigilant. Shall we reinforce our positions and bolster our technology?" The Bellington warrior asked, radiating calm. "Yes, we must establish a communication line between our warriors, both human and alien. We are the first line of defense, and if we stand together—" I paused, breathing deeply as gravity settled on my shoulders. "We have to honor our differences while fighting for a common purpose." The understanding shimmered in their expressions, and together we drew up plans to create elaborate strategies, ways to enhance our barriers, improve communication, and form adaptive formations combining combatants of all kinds. Our training grew intense. Preparation buzzed across our allied forces as we honed not just our skills, but the synergy that had taken hold among us. We remained unwavering, learning to navigate the methods that bound our worlds as one, fueled ever onward by an unquenchable desire for survival. Yet, as our forces grew, so did the haunting echoes of the past, surfacing reminders of the lives lost and the stories yet unfurling. We shared our stories and encounters with loss, the weight of grief reconciling with new roots buried deep. As I sat late at night poring over tactics with Temujin, the weight of responsibility nestled tightly around our shoulders. I glanced up, catching his eye laden with fierceness, yet tinged with worry. "What if we fail, Rena? What if this all crumbles around us?" "We won't," I assured him, placing my hand on his. "We've risen from the ashes of despair. We've shattered the barriers between us and come together. And with every ounce of determination we possess, we will craft this new future." "You're right," he said, drawing in a deep breath and nodding, the flicker of hope sparking forth again. "Together. That's our strength." Time continued its relentless march, our preparations gathering momentum until the fateful day arrived. We stood on the battlefield, an assembly of hearts intertwined with purpose. United, we faced the horizon where dark shapes loomed like vultures waiting to descend. Across the field, the remnants of the enemy forces gathered, twisted forms moving like breathless shadows, a mixture of anger and hatred vibrating in their ranks. They were here for what they believed was rightfully theirs, preparation unwittingly ignited by their own fear. But we would not shrink from them. With hearts ignited by the need for change, the clarion call rang forth from our unity, intertwining across the battlefield, a signal to the past to shatter our chains. As the winds howled and the first shots rang out, we surged forward. Together, we danced between the past and the future, hopeful, unyielding, and unwavering. We charged into the light of the coming dawn. Together, we would embrace the storm, revealing the power of our story unwritten. Together, we would rise. In that clash of creation and destruction, we hurled ourselves into eternity, staking a claim in existence itself. No longer mere survivors, but the architects of a new world awakening amid the chaos. This was our moment. Together, we soared as we embraced not just a fight, but the journey that lay ahead. A vibrant thread woven through time that would see us united once more. The aftermath of the battle left an imprint of silence, a contrast to the chaos that had erupted just moments before. As the last echoes of blaster fire faded, I stood amidst the remnants of the battlefield, heart pounding with the gravity of what we had endured and the weight of what lay ahead. The dawn broke over our battered city, washing the landscape in hues of gold and crimson, a fitting reminder of the conflict we had faced. But it was also heralding a new day, one bearing the scars of war but ripe with promise. Taking a deep breath, I focused on the sounds around me, the distant chatter of soldiers tending to the wounded, the quiet resolve settling over the fighters who had stood by my side, and the haunting chorus of losses yet to be mourned. "Irina, over here." Temujin's voice pierced through my reverie, bringing me back to the present. He stood with a group of both human and Bellingto allies, surrounded by the remnants of our joint forces. Under the strong light cascading from above, I could see the bruises and cuts that told tales of bravery. The moments of uncertainty would soon weave into our shared story, a narrative rooted in courage. I hurried over, feeling a mixture of exhaustion and determination swell in my chest. "What's the situation?" I asked, scanning the faces of our comrades, some weary, some filled with fading hope, all threading together a tapestry of survival. The Anahar forces were pushed back successfully. A Bellingto warrior answered, its voice calm yet tinged with sorrow. But many lives were lost on both sides, and we still await any remaining scouts that may pose a threat. I winced at the thought. The cost of our newfound unity weighed heavily on my conscience. "We need to honor those we lost," I stated firmly, my voice rising above the hushed wind. "And we must ensure that our alliance remains stronger than our divisions. We cannot let fear dictate our future." A murmur of agreement rippled through the gathered fighters, and it filled me with hope. "Let's head back to the square," Temujin suggested, his youthful determination lighting up a spark within us. "We need to regroup and strategize for what comes next." As we trudged back toward the center of our city, a surge of memories washed over me, the journey that had brought us to this point, and the countless faces of those who had fought alongside us, standing against insurmountable odds. With each step, I felt the weight of their sacrifice urging me forward. The fountain, once a symbol of innocence lost, now stood as a testament to resilience. Soldiers were already gathering, some bandaging wounds, others sorting through remnants of our equipment, and I felt the urgency building in my heart. Temujin stepped up beside me. "You know, some of those who fought were unsure about joining the alliance in the first place. They didn't know if their families would support their choices," he began, glancing at the gathering fighters. "But look at us now. There's something different, isn't there? We're not just hanging on by a thread anymore." I smiled, a wave of gratitude flooding through me. Each day we spent nurturing this new bond drew us closer, shaping our identities into something we could be proud of. "You're right. We've emerged together not just as a coalition, but as a family. It's a fire we must keep alive." With renewed resolve, I took my place at the center of the assembled warriors. People of Earth, allies of the Bellingto, we stand amidst the wreckage, but from these ashes we will rise. We have fought bravely. Our sacrifices mean something. Together, our voices will echo in the universe. Cheers erupted around me, weaving through the crowd, hearts igniting with the fervor of our newfound convictions. A hand shot up from the crowd, a soldier I recognized from the Alliance. "But what if more Anahar forces return? They've tasted defeat but will simply regroup. They won't just vanish into the shadows," I nodded, acknowledging the concern. "We need to take proactive measures. Let's build fortified outposts across vulnerable sectors, drawn from our past experiences, pooling our knowledge and resources." The conversation escalated, ideas bouncing back and forth, a wildfire of creativity igniting across our ranks. Different strategies emerged, showcasing the brilliance of our diverse perspectives, a foundation on which our alliance would thrive. Through the gathering light, I spotted the Anahar leader moving forward, its movements fluid and graceful, shadows dancing along its form in colors I had come to associate with honor and tenacity. "Your strategies are commendable," it intoned, a newfound warmth in its voice, "but our past haunts us. Many of my kin still distrust the actions we took against humanity. We need to confront that fear, or it will be our undoing." Collectively, we fell silent, letting the gravity of its words resound in our minds. "How do we confront it?" a voice asked from the crowd, a ripple of unease coursing through. "How can we assure them this is not just temporary?" The Anahar leader's gaze softened. "We offer them a choice. A chance to see the peace we seek in person, to witness our bonds forged by the trials we've endured. We need to bring them into this chamber of forgiveness, where we can embrace our truths without fear." The agitation thrummed within me. This was a leap toward vulnerability I hadn't anticipated. But what if they reject our call? I questioned, envisioning the shadows of doubt-creasing faces once more. Or what if they respond with violence? The pulse of hope beats strongest in the depths of darkness, the Anahar leader replied, strengths flickering like flames in its eyes. Change comes slowly, often against the tide. But if we don't take this leap, these bonds may never have the chance to blossom. Silence pulsed through the assembly. The magnitude of our decision hung in the air, charged and crystalline like a hawk gliding through unfathomable skies. I believe we must try, I asserted at last, letting the words flow with conviction. We cannot hide ourselves from fear. We must confront it with compassion and patience. Subdued murmurs began to fill our ranks as the gravity of the Anahar leader's words ignited emotions we had buried through the chaos. We will hold the forum in 1 week's time, I declared with renewed strength. Assemble a council, a voice for each side to speak to one another. It is the only way we can heal. As we left the gathering to prepare for the days ahead, I felt a blend of anticipation and dread coursing through me, seated deep within my being. We'd faced tangible enemies, but confronting the shadows of mistrust ran deeper than any physical confrontation. *** days passed swiftly, and as we prepared for the gathering, wounds slowly healed, but the weight of history remained heavy. We forged new paths, mending broken pieces both within our minds and within our homes. The remaining factions expressed their unease openly, but the commitment from our allies strengthened our resolve. Finally, the day arrived. The square lay transformed into a sprawling expanse filled with tents, banners, and artifacts symbolizing our union. The melding of cultures and stories bridging worlds anew. I stood at the front, watching as representatives from each faction began to gather in anticipation, the air thick and electric. "Rena, are you sure we can do this?" Temujin's voice quivered slightly in my ear, and I squeezed his shoulder reassuringly. "Yes, we must show our combined strength, our commitment to creating change together," I replied, knowing full well the weight of his concern matched my own. As the crowd settled, my heart raced as I took my place, flanked by the Anahar leader and the Bellingta warriors. Silence enveloped the square, every eye focused on us, the embodiment of a promise clinging to the fragile threads of understanding. "Our worlds have danced on the edge of war," I began, heart pounding. "We've endured unimaginable pain, but today we stand united, pledging to forge a different path, a shared destiny." The Anahar leader stepped forward then, shadows pooling around its form, yet radiating a warmth that promised something vital. "We must embrace our past, for it shapes our story." But the shadows lie not only within the past, they dwell within our hearts. Today, we offer a chance to heal, to share our truths, and to ignite the embers of trust that will light the way forward. A ripple coursed through the assembled crowd, some eyes flickering with doubt, others holding glimmers of hope. I stepped back, letting the dialogue unfold as representatives took turns sharing their stories framed by their losses, their fears, and their desires for change. Time melted away as we progressed through emotional landscape after emotional landscape, each tale weaving deeper into the fabric of our gathering. Conversations, both potent and raw, manifested into a mosaic of shared experiences. Grievances met with compassion, slowly molding into understanding. However, as I observed the pulse of this dialogue unfolding, the shadow of uncertainty loomed beneath the surface. Those who remained steadfast in skepticism fought silently against the tide, and I could sense it vibrating in the air. "Rena," a voice suddenly rang out, an Anahar soldier. "You can speak of unity, but will you abandon your kin when it matters? Can loyalty mean anything more than mere words? What will happen when the tides surge once more?" Gasps echoed through the crowd as all eyes turned toward me. "The past has brought us here, but our loyalty will be tested anew," I replied passionately, summoning every bit of courage in my heart. "Yet it is through our sincerity and collective strength that we can build a future that transcends lost loyalties." With every exchange, each moment carried a truth, an unspoken yearning that fluttered between breaths. I searched not just for forgiveness, but for shared affirmation that bonds can thrive beyond betrayal. One soldier from the Bellingta stepped forward, a gentle demeanor tinged with sorrow, speaking with unwavering conviction. I lost my kin to the strife. I felt the weight of betrayal. But unity offers a salve. More than vengeance ever could, they spoke, voice trembling yet resolute. Another Anahar warrior followed suit, trembling hands raising in submission to the uncertainty they had known. Crimson of suffering is not the path I wish to walk upon. Can we embrace a new dawn? The voices melded, anxiety and emotion steeped within each speaker's heart, encircling us with mutual understanding. In this forum, it became clear that uniting hearts came more vividly alive when recognition encased fear, transforming it into compassion. As the days turned into nights, fatigue settled deep like a silent fog, yet we persevered. Eventually, the dynamic shifted, the tide turning ever so slightly as the lingering shadows began to wane. Together, we returned to the fountain where it had begun, where loss painstakingly merged with new beginnings, and we gathered once more. Bones weary but spirits renewed, the change we sought trembled just beyond our reach. A promise entangled in every spoken word and shared moment. Amidst this collective understanding, I felt a pulse of warmth surge through me. It was a call to arms, an unwavering commitment to fight for one another, to forge paths toward a brighter future, embracing our differences. The road lay unwritten, it swirled with complexities both familiar and unknown, but we were not alone. Our hearts danced in time, united against the throes of uncertainty as warriors stepping not just to reclaim land, but to birth a new world born of solidarity. In those solitary moments shared between breaths, I took a deep breath, reflecting on how far we had come. We had learned not just to survive but to grow, singing together in a harmony unlike any we had known. And as new challenges emerged on the horizon, renewed in our essence, I knew that united, we possessed the strength to transcend former shadows. We would strive to hold on to this fragile promise of unity, nurturing our collective spirit as we marched toward the future, determined to illuminate the darkness that had once blanketed our existence. Through the echoes of our past, a new dawn awaited, a dawn built by the unyielding fire of hope, rising steadily to meet the verdict of destiny. Together, we would savor the symphony of our lives interwoven, breathing life into a world reborn from unity, understanding, and above all, undaunted hope. The air shimmered with tension as the armies of humanity and the Bellingtu stood united, facing the remnants of the Anahar forces. The battlefield sprawled before us, dimly lit by the last golden rays of the setting sun. The shadows lengthened ominously, stretching across the land like fingers of darkness, attempting to encroach upon our newfound unity. I could feel the weight of anticipation in the air, a shared breath among all those who had come together in defiance of our past conflicts. It was surreal to witness representatives from both our species mingling, strategizing side by side. This moment was a testament to the power of resilience and hope that had emerged from the ashes of despair. "Rena," Temujin called, urgency threading through his tone. "I've just received word from the scouts. Anahar troops are mobilizing, and they plan to strike at dawn." His eyes gleamed with worry, yet brimming with the steely resolve I had come to admire. "Then we will prepare for a counter-offensive," I replied, my resolve hardening at the revelation. "We will not let them destroy what we have built together." The past few weeks had been filled with brutal training, endless council meetings, and moments of vulnerability shared among warriors from worlds so different yet now intertwined. "Gather everyone," I commanded, and within moments the square was bustling with the organized fervor of preparation. Bellingtu warriors shimmered, their forms glowing with the energy that felt like an echo of hope itself, while human soldiers armed themselves with fierce camaraderie. As our ranks gathered, I stepped to the forefront, heart pounding wildly with both nerves and conviction. People of Earth, allies of the Bellingtu, I raised my voice, projecting it over the din as our forces assembled before me. Tomorrow, we stand not simply for survival, we stand for the future we seek, one forged through trust, vulnerability, and the commitment to embrace each other as kin. Cheers erupted, the force of their unity reverberating against the stone facades of the rebuilt square. In this moment, I felt the dawn of a new reality rise within me, a commitment to transcend the labels that had kept us apart, to forge a bond stronger than the semblance of old adversities. "We may face great challenges," the Bellington leader interjected, its voice resonating deeply, drawing the eyes of both humans and Anahar alike. "We will stand not only as battalions, but as a tapestry woven together by shared experiences. We will emerge stronger through our unity." As night folded around us, plans were drawn, formations established, and determination solidified. We secured the perimeter, deploying the technology that the Bellington had shared with us, a series of shimmering energy barriers that flickered with vibrancy, illuminating our resolve. Our defenses shone brightly against the tapestry of starry night, reflecting the ideas, hopes, and fears we had battled against. We spent the restless hours leading up to dawn into a flurry of camaraderie, sharing stories, laughter, and the occasional moments of silence where memories of the fallen echoed gently around us, reminding us of the journey we had undertaken together. We harnessed that energy, channeling it into our preparations, fortifying our defenses with a sense of purpose. At last, the first light of dawn broke forth, spilling vibrant hues across the landscape as the day unfurled. A veil of mist hung over the land, and with it came the unsettling sense that today would be a reckoning, one that would either seal our unity or sever the threads that connected us. "Positions," I commanded, adrenaline thrumming through me at the sound of distant voices echoing through the valley. We were not alone anymore. This was not a gathering built on resentment, but a collective spirit blossom. As I stood at the forefront, surrounded by warriors whose hearts beat in tandem with mine, I felt an unwavering connection binding us tighter with each breath. The ground rumbled beneath us, and a dark mass emerged from the fog. The Anahar forces came into view, a swirling storm of shadows and energy, their purpose evident even from a distance. I felt Temujin's hand grip my arm, anchoring me in staid determination as I locked eyes with him. "They won't take us easily," I assured him, sensing the chaos stirring in the depths of my own heart. "We will fight for our future, for the chance to reclaim our lives and build something beautiful from our shared existence." The first volley rang out as the Anahar surged forward, launching energy beams toward our front line. But we were ready. My breath caught in my throat as the Bellington warriors unleashed their protective energy shields, shimmering barriers absorbing the impact of blasts that rattled the very ground beneath our feet. The Alliance forces, fueled by their collective strength, responded with fire and grit, charging alongside their newfound kin. Now, I shouted as we engaged, unity manifesting as our strategies melded, the harmony of energy and purpose igniting the battlefield. I felt the pull of adrenaline coursing through my veins, intertwining with emotional echoes that had long dwelled within me. This was about more than survival. It was a fight for a brighter future. Together, we lashed out at the encroaching darkness, propelled by the power of our shared experiences, and the ground erupted beneath us in a whirlwind of chaos and light. Explosions lit the sky like fireflies, painting the chaos with vibrant strokes of fury and hope as we pushed back, determined to hold our ground. In the midst of it all, I spotted the Anahar leader, its figure shrouded in darkness as it surged above our ranks. I steeled myself for confrontation. The shadows danced around it like a cloak, yet flashes of light painted glimpses of vulnerability within that darkness. I raced forward, fighting through the throngs of confusion around us. "You have a choice, we're not your enemies," I bellowed, desperation woven into my determination. "Choice," the Anahar leader snarled, echoes of fury laced in its voice. "You think your fragile unity can shatter the strength of our past? You think your words matter?" It surged forward, each step sending tremors through the very earth beneath us. "We fight for what we lost, for vengeance." Heart pounding, I pressed on, words rushing forth like a tide. "No, we fight to reclaim our home and our right to coexist." I pulled upon everything I had learned, every hardship faced, and every flicker of hope ignited. "You seek vengeance, yet all it leaves in its wake our empty corridors of despair. Together we can rise from the ashes, weaving strength with compassion. Shadows flickered momentarily in the Anahar leader's eyes. I could see a flicker of change, uncertainty laced with bitterness. It hesitated. Just then, a surge of powerful energy coursed through our lines as the Bellingto warriors rallied around us, crafting a shimmering shield of shared purpose that pulsed vibrantly against the rising darkness. In that moment of unity, our voices intertwining into a chorus of hope, I made my choice clear. Transform your grief into forge. Fire, I declared, anchored on the precipice of possibility. Build with us, not against. Open your heart to what lies beyond this cycle of rage. And as if in response, the tide began to shift. The Anahar leader faltered, caught between the storm of its ancient pain and the promise of hope extending from our combined existence. You dare challenge the shadows. You wish for redemption, it questioned, its voice laced with uncertainty. Yes, I cried, shame swept from me as conviction thrummed through my heart. We dare. In this moment, we decide whether to be shackled by our past or to carve a new future. Face the demons together instead of carrying them alone. The charged energy crackled with renewed intensity as our forces advanced. Instead of arms raised in anger, they began to lower. Their fight transforming from a battle for survival into a revolutionary bond of understanding. And then came the pivotal moment, a shift in the Anahar leader. Past grief poured forth like an unshackled dam. It trembled, shadows swirling yet beginning to disperse. I do not wish for war. I have walked with sorrow long enough. Show me the path. Lead me. In that transformative instant, the front line surged forward, forces melding in an embrace that tempered rage with redemption. We reached out, each of us pushing beyond the lines drawn long ago, and chaos slowly gave way to understanding forged in the fire of conflict. As the sun rose higher above us, illuminating the battlefield now swathed in the brightness of unity, I felt that dawn's light pull at every corner of the world. Around us, warriors began lowering their weapons connections, forming within the light as a tapestry of shared struggle emerged brightly amidst the fading shadows. United at last, our hands intertwined, we forged forward, not against each other, but with the intent to transform the future together. Within moments, the very essence of the Anahar shifted, as whispers of acceptance threaded through the air. A truce emerged not merely from need, but through shared stories and unyielding hope. Together, we chose the path of empathy and compassion, a rebirth born through honest connections and breaking the chains of our past. The cries of victory resounded as we stood at the precipice of something monumental. Echoes resonated through the ground beneath us, a testament to the light we had kindled. All around, we embraced our new existence woven together in the intricate dance of cultures, histories, and emotions all now inspired anew. The war was far from over, but it held a new promise fueled not by vengeance, but by an unwavering belief in the brighter future we would craft together. As I looked into Temujin's eyes, I saw reflected back a shared truth. We were not just warriors of our kind. We were the architects of a future defined by unity. We had chosen connection over chaos, and therein lay the promise of the day's bright horizon. Hand in hand, against the backdrop of dawn illuminating the sounds and sight of our rebirth against the horizon, we prepared. Not just for the battles yet to come, but for the solidarity we embraced and the ever-deepening lullabies of existence wrapped in unrelenting hope. Together, we emerged, and the journey ahead rang with the echoes of the stories we had yet to create. The final chapter was strictly ours to write, and as we stood united, shared purpose colorfully strung between us, we felt unbreakable. The dawn of a new age rising over the horizon, beckoning us forth.